Good day, everyone. We will start our discussion with a classification of delinquency. Some of the sections, humana ni sila ani nga topic, but napoy mga sections nga wala pa nakaagi di ani. Mao ni ang atong classification of delinquency. Kung maingon tag unsocialized aggression, they are rejected or abandoned, no parents to imitate and become aggressive. Mao ni ang mga bata nga naghimog crime, it's because wala sila'y mga kanang ginatawag nato nga role model sa bayay, or wala sila ginasundog, walay nag-supervise sa ila, walay nag-guide sa ila as children. It's because they are rejected, gidisown na sila sa ilahang mama o papa, sa ilahang guardians, or abandoned na sila, wala na sila contact, wala na sila kabayo kung asa ila mama and papa, so sila ra kan they stand on their own, and most especially kung patay na ang ilahang mama and papa or ilahang guardians. So when they commit a crime, um, the behavior nga ilahang ginahimo is maklasify na nato sila is because of the unsocialized aggression. Next is the socialized delinquency. So membership in fraternities or groups that advocate bad things. So naay mga bata nga nag-commit of crime, it's because they are part of fraternities or gangs. So kani nga mga groups, if nag-advocate ni ng bad things, of course, they will be influenced by the people na they are surrounded with or they're associated with. For example, in the differential association theory, kung kinsa imong kauban, kung sa ilang gipanghimo, mao pa imong mahimo. So mao ni ang socialized delinquency. Next, we have over-inhibited. So groups secretly trained to do illegal activities like marijuana cultivation. So na mga bata nga grabe pa kasadyo, gipang-recruit na sila to do illegal activities, for example, drug activities like drug pushing. So, kaning mga adults nga nagtudlo sa ila to commit these crimes, they believe morning sila ang ilang itukyod-tukyod to do these illegal activities. It's because ang mga bata dili man sila uh, makulong or ma-send sa jail once madakpan sila. So, mao na ang ginatawag nato nga over-inhibited. So next is the pathway to delinquency. When we say pathway to delinquency, these behaviors mao ni ang tudlo sa ato or nag signify nga probably kani nga mga bata na sila'y chance in becoming a delinquent, or probably in their future they will become a delinquent. So number one, we have authority conflict pathway. So begins at early age with stubborn behavior that leads to defiance and then the authority avoidance. Kung ang bata nagpakita og mga behavior wherein dili siya mahadlok sa iyahang mama papa, dili siya mahadlok sa authority, for example her teacher, for example her teacher, for the police, dili siya mahadlok sa laws and regulations, and mohimo gyapon siya ng simple defiance or paglabag or disobedience. So that is what we call as authority conflict pathway. Probably ang bata na will become a delinquent. Next, we have covert pathway. So begins with minor underhanded behavior that leads to property damage. This behavior eventually escalates to more serious forms of criminality. So kanang mga underhanded behavior, for example, magwala ang bata, or kung dili mahatag ija gusto, ija ipanglabog ang mga butang, mangguba siya ng mga butang. Those kinds of behaviors are actually pathway to delinquency. Those are what we call as covert pathway. Then we have our overt pathway. So escalates to aggressive acts, beginning with aggression and leading to physical fighting, and then to violence. So for example, kanang mga bata nga permi mapatawag sa guidance office or sa principal's office is because nakigsumbagay sila sa ilang mga classmates, or ang ilang gipang-away ilang classmates. So probably they're on their way to become delinquency. So those are what we call as overt pathway. Next, we have juvenile delinquency tendencies. So this behavior suggests that the person is a delinquent, or the person is more likely to become delinquent. So we have malicious. So expression of defiance. So kanang simple nga pag-disobey ng isa ka bata, that behavior is what we call as malicious. So next is negativistic. So changeable attitude, like not being satisfied with status. So naay mga bata nga dali ra magselos, dali ra ma-envy, or mag-pretend sila that they are something even though this is not true. For example, kanang mga bata mo lang nandiyan ila iPhone, pero naara sa bayay tungod kay dili ipadaya sa ila mama kay maguba. Pero dayto in reality, dili na siya tinuod. For example pod, if grabe ni ka selos tungod kay naay bag-o nga pencil case sa iyang classmate, and then nagpapalit siya pencil case sa iyang mama, pero iyang mama dili palit kay walay kwarta. So ang result, ang bata iya nang gikawat ang pencil case sa iyang classmate. So it's because he is not, or she is not satisfied with her status, nahimo na niya nga crime, or nangawat siya. I'm sorry kung nakoy tissue per me. It's because I'm really sick. It's also one of the reason as to nganong nag-video discussion na lang sad ko over um discussion face to face. To write things on the wall, on the armchair, or bisan asa nga public or private property, and then you tend to write such things. For example, imo pangayan, imo tagsuyat, tas heart sa imo crush sa CR, public CR or sa private CR, then those that attitude is actually a tendency to juvenile delinquency. We call that non-utilitarian. Then we have hedonistic. So doing bad things for pleasure. Of course, ang tao, ano, as hedonistic as he is, um, we do things that are more pleasurable, and choose things that are more pleasurable and where we can benefit over than the things na masakitan ta and will cause pain to us. So that is hedonistic. So kung ang bata mas pleasurable sa iya, mas ganahan siya nga mo-commit ng crime. So, mo nang iyang gi-commit ang isa ka crime, then that is an hedonistic tendency. I mean, hedonistic behavior that is a tendency to juvenile delinquency. So next, we have types of delinquent youth. So we have socialized delinquents, a result of their social association with people more likely to become property violators. So kaning atong mga socialized delinquents, nakahimo ra sila og crime is because um, their surrounding, or the people that they are associating themselves with, also do illegal things or delinquency. So mao na tungod sa ang ilang pakig-socialize, pakig-interact ani nga mga tawo, na-impluwensyahan sila into committing crimes. Then we have neurotic delinquents. So result of distortion in their personality and their ideas and perception of the world around them due to anxiety or neurotic compulsion. So kaning mga neurotic delinquents, uh, as we distinguish neurotic from psychotic and psychopathic, they know what is right and wrong, but they are not capable of doing the right things. It's because nadaog sila sa ilahang emotional and mental state. For example, if na sila anxiety or neurotic compulsion, o di kaya depression. So this is a result of distortion in their personality and their ideas and perception of the world around them. For example, sad if ang tawo na ay phobia, so he also is considered as a neurotic delinquent. Then we have psychotic delinquents. So actually, ang psychotics, they don't know the morality. They do not know what is right and wrong. Waya sad sila kabayo. As to kung unsa na ilang gihimo, it's because they have their mental illness. And also, they hallucinate. Mao nang nakahimo sila ng crimes. So, with severe personality disorders, they do not usually plan their crimes, more likely to commit violence. So, when you hallucinate, of course paya ka kabayo kung kanus ama na mo uh, moatake ang hallucination. So even though walay stimulus nga imong makita and imong mabati, para sa imo in your own perception naa kay makita and nabati. So kana nga mga nga stimulus sa imong utok ra probably mao nay nagtulak sa imo to commit crimes. So ang hallucination also is different from illusion. Kay ang illusion, if we say illusion, naa kay makita nga stimulus but different ang imong pag-perceive ana nga stimulus. For example, if naghigdaay ka and then um hinay ra ang suga nimo and then sa imuhang wall na ay murag naka-form nga face para sa imo kadto nga face maski shadow ra to para sa imo is an entity na will cause harm to you. So even though that is not the reality, that is your perception. And then we also have delusion. Kaning delusion also uh, kaning delusion also, even though gihatagan na ka ng facts. For example, gihatagan na ka ng facts, pero you have your own belief. So, in your belief, these things exist or in your belief, these things do not exist. For example, ang mga scientists na to, naglaong na sila na the world is round or the world is in ellipses. However, in your own belief lagi, you believe that the earth is flat. So even though naanay mga evidences nga gipakita sa imo, you still believe your own unsa na, your own beliefs in things. So man naigyapon ang imong beliefs in things. So di ka motuo sa facts. And then we have our sociopathic delinquents. So characterized by egocentric personality, have limited or no compassion for others. So kaning mga sociopathic delinquents or they're interlinked with psychopathic delinquents, kabayo sila kung unsay sakto ang dili. However, they do not have the emotional capacity to care and to give sympathy and also to have a conscience in the things that they do. So even though magmakaawa ka sa ila because you are in the verge of being murdered by a psychopath or a sociopath, wala na sila pakialam kung masakitan ka. Wala sila pakialam as to what is right and what is wrong. So they're characterized by egocentric personality and have limited or no compassion for others. So another type of a delinquent youth is an environmental delinquent. So they are occasional lawbreakers. Kung may tag occasional lawbreakers, it means napapanahon ra ang ilang pag-commit ng crime. And it means, for example, if naray mga occasions ra sila mo atake as delinquents. We have emotionally maladjusted delinquents. So they are chronic lawbreakers who make it a habit they cannot avoid to escape from. Kanang mga criminals or delinquents nga ginahimo na nilang habit, di na nila mapungnan is because mao na nay permente nila nga ginahimo. So they are called as emotionally maladjusted. Psychiatric delinquents, they become delinquent due to mental illness. So na sila'y sakit mentally. And then we have occasional delinquents. They participate in groups. They are called as the pro-social. So they will not operate a crime if they are not um, associated with a group or if they are not with a group. So gusto nila ang pag mo-commit sila ng crime na agad sila yung mga kauban. Then gang delinquents mostly commit serious infractions, semi-professional criminal behavior. So kanang atong mga gang delinquents, na naman na sila yung mga routine, na sila. So next is diri na ta sa history of juvenile. Actually, in the history of juvenile, there are lots of claims as to when the juvenile started. So in this book, we followed these topics or lessons or these references. So we have first the English common law. So under this law, children were treated as adults. They were forced to work and were often trained to do agricultural or domestic work. This concept and practice spread in the United States and continued to the early 19th century. So sa una, Wala sila'y distinction as to kung kinsa man gani ang mocommit ng crime and kung kinsa man gani ang mga bata. Therefore, they treat children also as adults. So kung mag-commit ang mga bata ng crime, the punishment that we give to the adults are also the same punishment that we give to the children. So they are called as the miniature adults or mga gagmay nga mga or nga mga adults because of their physical appearance. Kay mga bata, mga gagmay man gajud. So that is from the English common law. Stubborn child law. So this law was passed by the General Court of the Massachusetts Bay Colony and stated that children who disobeyed their parents must be punished by death. So the principle of the law was based on the biblical book of Deuteronomy. So, kung kinsa man gani ang mo-disobey, dili mo sugot sa mga sugo, mosupak sa sugo ng ginikanan, they will be sentenced to death. They will be punished to death. So, grabe ka brutal ang atong stubborn child law. Then we have child savers. So because juveniles were treated the same as adults on trial for crimes they committed, civic leaders decided to focus on alternative ways to minimize the harsh conditions that juveniles were being subjected to. Thus, they began to refer to themselves as child savers. So their main goal was to create programs and activities and provide care to these youths by helping them improve their behavior. So kani atong mga child savers, mura ni silag mga social worker today. However, kaning atong mga child workers, savers sa una, mura silag hero ng isa ka bata. It's because the same punishment rang atong gihatag sa mga bata as the punishment that we give to the adults, kaning child savers mura silag unsa na, ilang sagipon ang bata from those kinds of brutal punishments. Thus, they make their own association kay para ma-save ni nila nga mga bata, ma-restore ni nila and ma-rehabilitate ni nila nga mga bata because they believe na that child can still be reformed and pwede pa ni siya mabag-o. So with the help of the child savers and also the help of the community, they will be able to restore or reform the child's behavior. Next is the New York Committee on Pauperism. So the committee gave the first recognition of the word juvenile delinquency. So diri nag-start ang term nga juvenile delinquency in the New York City Committee on Pauperism, which refers to it as a major cause of pauperism. So as a result of this recognition, a lot of institutions for juveniles were established. So, ingon man sila nga ang mga juvenile delinquent kuno, they are cause of the poverty or the economic downfall of New York. So, diri nag-start ang ilahang pagtawag sa mga bata as juvenile delinquent. So, kadtong mga bata nga naara sa streets, waya ginikanan, nagsaligrakan sa mga support sa government. So, they call them as juvenile delinquents. So, that is juvenile delinquency. And then we have House of Refuge. This facility was developed by Child Savers. So gikan ni siya nga facility from the Child Savers. Mao ni alang ilang gihimo nga um asa na kanang bayay nga magtanggap sa mga bata who are punished by the law or kanang mga bata nga who are in the streets and have no supervision. So, the majority of the children admitted to the facility were status offenders, placed there because of vagrancy and neglect. So, kanang mga bata nga bisag asa ra kan mo sulpot, bisag asa ra kan mo lagpot tungod kay why permanent residency, that is vagrancy, ilan ang ginabutang sa house of refuge and neglected by their parents or they are disowned by their parents. So children were brought to the facility because of a court order of a parent's objections. So, kung ang parents mo object sila as to the punishment of the child, then ang bata ibutang siya sa house of refuge. So the length of stay of children depended on their age, need, and skill. In the 1850s, the number of juvenile delinquents confined to the institution climbed significantly, which resulted in the construction of larger buildings. So tungod kay nagkadaghan na ang ato ang mga bata sa House of Refuge nag-expand or nag-extend na ang atong House of Refuge. So nahimo nga large nga building. So next is Children's Aid Society. As one of the alternatives to secure correctional facilities for juvenile delinquents, New York philanthropist Charles Loring Brace developed the Children's Aid Society in 1853. So the society was designed to protect delinquents from city danger through temporary shelter. So katong mga bata who are in danger, it's because they are in the streets, they are prone to, they are vulnerable to um, harmful things. Ginakuha ni nila ilan ang gibunabutang sa Children's Aid Society. So kani si mao ni ang ilahang ginatawag nga the House of Refuge. And then we have orphan trains. So in response to the increasing number of youths, another response was made. So which was the use of transport. So during this era, approximately 250,000 abandoned children from New York were placed on orphan trains and relocated to the West, where they were adopted by Christian farm families. So the selection of the family was random. So at the town meeting, farm families would pick among the children. So children who were not selected must go back on board the train and continue to the next town. So those children who were selected and those who adopted them were given 1 year to decide whether they would stay. If either of the two is against it, the child would be returned, boarded on the next train, and offered to the next town or family. So tungod kay nagkadaghan ang mga abandoned children in New York ani nga time, na sila gihimo nga train wherein kani nga train ilang ipamutang ang mga bata didto. So kani nga train is bound to the west. So kaning mga bata nga naa diri ilang ning ipanghatag sa mga Christian families or sa mga families nga ready mo kupkup ani nga mga bata. Um, They will be given ang mga bata ng 1 year or ang parents ng 1 year or ang families ng 1 year to decide whether if gusto nila nga magstay pa ang bata dito sa ato nga pamilya or dili na. So if they will decide nga dili sila ganahan ato nga bata, then ang bata is ila na sad pasakyon pag-otro sa kadto nga train or the orphan trains kay para ipadaya na sad sa lain nga lugar. So yung anak ka kalain ka brutal ang ilahang gihimo sa una. Although they are concerned with the sana family of the child, the safety of the child, pero it's like dili siya makatarunganon. It's because mura ra kag naghatag ra og bata na nga waya ra lamang murag imong gihatag, imong gitpa-transport, gipadaya ra sa kuan mura ra sa Petra or iro nga imo rang gipapilian. So next is Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Children. So this was established in New York in 1874. So agents of the society were authorized to remove children from their homes and arrest anyone who tried to interfere with their work. Furthermore, this organization protected children who were abused and neglected at home or in school. So society gihapon ni Sidya para sa mga bata nga naka-experience ng abuse sa ilahang bayay. So mao to ang ato ang history of juvenile delinquency in the 18th century and beyond. So mao ni ang kaning in the left side, mao ni ang train, orphan train sa una. And then kaning isa is the New York Society for Prevention of Cruelty to Children. So naaday ni siya na matagpuan sa Fifth Avenue in New York. Next is the Illinois Juvenile Court Act. So this was passed by the child saving movement as a culminating activity. So the Illinois Juvenile Court Act of 1899 was the nation's first independent juvenile court. So sa una, wala pa man tay family courts, wala pa tay juvenile courts wherein mo na mag-try sa mga cases involving children. Um, until niabot ang Illinois Juvenile Court Act. So some of the provinces or some of the regions of the United States and Europe were also influenced by this act na nang naana po sila gihimo nga juvenile courts. So ang Illinois Juvenile Court Act mao ni ang pinakauna nga naghimo ng nag-separate ng juvenile justice system from the adult justice system. So this law provided a distinction between children who were neglected, and those who were delinquent. So delinquent children are described as those under the age of 16 who violated the law. So ang sa ilang gina-distinguish nga matawag ra nato nga delinquent children ang bata if they are under the age of 16 years old who violated the law. So the most important feature of the act was establishing a court and a probation program, especially for children. So kay naa na may probation, so it means nga kung makasaya ang child, naa na sadyay chance nga dili mag-serve sa iyang sentence inside a prison nila or penitentiary, but dito na sila magsidya mag-serve sa society. So, mao na ang movement ng Illinois Juvenile Court Act. Next, we have Juvenile Justice and Delinquency Prevention Act. So the act was passed in 1974 and had 5 major points. So first, it mandated the decriminalization of status offenders so that they could not be considered delinquent. So second, it mandated the deinstitutionalization of juvenile correction so that those who committed serious delinquent acts would be the ones eligible for confinement. So ilahang decriminalize ang status offenders kay para dili sila makonsider as delinquent. Kay di ba naman tay distinction as to unsa raman ang mga crime or nga ang mga behaviors nga makonsider nato as delinquents and unsa man ang mga status offense. So mao na ang Juvenile Justice and Delinquency Prevention Acts. So we have significant cases concerning juvenile delinquency. So number one na dira is the Kent versus United States. So that is from 1966. That is a notable case in the United States. It states nga this is a pivotal case in the United States wherein juveniles have constitutional rights. So tungod ani nga kaso ilahang napa-establish nga the juveniles have constitutional rights and dili pwede nga from the juvenile court basta-basta na lamang nato sila i-try or ang ilang trial mahitabo into the adult court. So kinahanglan natay legal processes and constitutional rights nga gina-follow regarding sa cases ng bata nga naagi-try sa juvenile court pasingod sa adult juvenile court. So next is Inre Gold in 1967. It's also one of the most important case in the history of American juvenile justice system. It's because it states na due process is very important in trying a case involving the juvenile. So even though they are just a juvenile and then their case is tried in the juvenile court, kinahanglan nga moagi gyapon sila ng kinahanglan nga moagi gyapon sila ng due process. So next is the Henry Winship in 1970. So in this case, kung ang Winship, so in this case, kung ang quote is for the due process of the juvenile cases, ang Henry Winship, it states nga kinahanglan kuno that the child shall only be convicted only with the proof or evidence beyond a reasonable doubt. It is a pillar also of a juvenile. So, in Winship, it is a pillar of the juvenile justice system also because it states na the child cannot be convicted unless with an evidence that is beyond a reasonable doubt. So they actually apply the term the preponderance of evidence in this case. So in Henry Winship in 1970. So next we have the Breed versus Jones in 1975. So ang Breed versus Jones in 1975 was also an important case. It's because it protected the children from um double jeopardy. So prevent nila nga mahitabo nga na the child will be put through the same process, or lagi the same process twice with the same crime. So mao na ang ilahang mao na ang actually court decision in Breed versus Jones in 1975. So ang American Bar Association in 1977 naman, it uh in that case, it wrote the blueprint for how lawyers and judges must act to protect those rights. So katong mga rights nga atong gina-state kanina in the cases previously, gihimo to nila nga standard kay para mao na to ang gamito ng judges, ng lawyers in trying or in a case involving juveniles. So next is the case of Skull versus Martin in 1984. So according to that to the ruling of that case, the Supreme Court ruled that states can legally hold juveniles in preventive detention. So pwede nilang kulong or held in custody ang isa ka bata kung kana nga bata is actually harmful to himself and to the society. So that is Skull versus Martin in 1984. So mao tong mga significant cases nato concerning juvenile delinquency. And then moving on to the chapter 2, or the nature and extent of juvenile delinquency. So we have lesson 1, or the theories of crime and delinquency. So from this, I think you are very much familiar with the picture and the theory kung unsa ni. So that is the choice theory. So ang choice theory is also under na siya sa ato ang classical school of criminology. So it claims that people have free will to choose their behavior, and that those who violated the law were motivated by greed, revenge, and survival. So maong himo ra ka og crime is because you have your own free will. And tungod kay na-motivate ra ka by greed nimo is because naghihiganti ka, and also to survive. So Cesar Vicaria and Jeremy Bentham, being the proponents of the classical school, said that individuals should weigh the consequences of their actions before deciding. So mao tong natay hedonistic principle and utilitarian principle. And then later known as the rational choice theory. So kaning choice theory later on nahiman is nga as we all know right now is the rational choice theory. So next is the classical criminology. So decision to violate the law is weighed against the possibility of being punished, so deterring them from committing such acts. So they believed in classical criminology that dapat kung maghahatag tag punishment to a certain criminal, it must be more painful than the pain that it must cause must be greater than the benefit that the criminal might get from doing a crime. So mas bugat ang punishment kaysa sa benefit na makuha ng isa ka criminal by doing the crime. So the pain of the punishment must outweigh the benefit of committing such an act. So let the punishment fit the crime. So of course, ang ato ang very main significance in classical criminology is ang free will. So the youth are the ones in charge of their choices or destinies and are free to make personal behavior preferences influenced by environmental factors. So kung unsa man gani ang maka-influence sa ila, they have their own free will as to kung unsa man nga desisyon ang ilahang himuon. They have that choice. So next is utilitarianism. So one who believes that people weigh the benefits and consequences of their actions before deciding on the sequence of their behavior. So according to utilitarianism, imo anang i-weigh ang cost and benefit of the action nimo o before ka mag-decide kung unsa may imong buhaton. So that is under the classical criminology. Next, so kani, I think you are very familiar. If na ganitay suitable target, absence of capable guardian and motivated an offender, that means that is a routine activity theory. So our next is the routine activity theory. So according to Lawrence Cohen and Marcus Felson's elements of routine activity theory, the volume and distribution of crimes or delinquency in an area are influenced by three variables. So the availability of suitable target, the absence of capable guardian, and the presence of a motivated offender. So for example, if na ay babae na gabi na nakauli sa silay tapos ang silay is grabe kangit-ngit. So there is no capable guardian, walay nagpatrol nga pulis, walay kaiban sa babae, si Jeraisa, and then walay CCTV. Tapos naatay motivated offender. Therefore, because of those circumstances that made the victim vulnerable into a crime, gihimo sa offender or gi-perpetuate niya ang crime nga gusto nga himuon. Probably, gi-rape niya ang bae because ngit-ngit or probably iyahang iyahang girab ang isa ka babae nga atong ginatawag nga suitable target. So that is routine activity theory. Another one is that it is also linked to the livelihood activity theory, livelihood theory of crime. So kung kabayo sad ang motivated offender nato nga kani nga babae gabi na ni siya tig-uli, kani nga babae taga silay ni siya, and kung muli siya way ija kaiban, that also will motivate our offender in committing a crime. So that is routine activity theory. So next is the trait theories or biosocial and psychological views. So it is also linked with our so-called positivist theory. Kaya naman tayo biopsychosocial factors which influence the behavior or the behavior of the person in committing the crime. So according to psychologist Bernard Rimland, antisocial behaviors are more closely linked to genetically determined physical or mental traits under effects of a toxic environment. So sometimes, ang ato ang pagkakriminal is inherent na nato sa ato ang mga ginikanon or atong ancestors. Sometimes it is because of the mental illness of the person or because of the toxic environment or the society that the person or the criminal is living. So kadto nga mga factors might influence our criminals into committing a crime. Then we have criminal atavism. So this is by Cesar Lombroso. So he found that delinquent youth manifest the physical characteristics that are similar to those of primitive ancestors. So because of this link, the term born criminals was used to describe those with enormous jaws, strong canines, a flattened nose, and supernumerary teeth, and double rows as in snakes. So, ang atavism, it started from a concept wherein nakuno tay mga predominant na mga traits and characteristics as a human being, but those characteristics is nag-exist ra daw to siya sa atong mga ancestors. So karon, because of evolution nangawaya na to nga mga traits, but there are some people who still possess those kinds of characteristics. And if kung naa ka to nga characteristic, then you are considered as an atavistic person by Cesar Lombroso. And where you are atavistic, na ako no kay criminal tendencies or na kay tendency to commit a crime. So, unsaon man daw na nato sa may atong mga stigmata or sa may atong mga bases nga kani nga person is a born criminal or I mean atavistic. So they have enormous jaws, nagko ilang mga panga, strong canines, natay na mga flat nga nose, and supernumerary teeth or kanang grabe ka pa nga mga salangasag or daghan na mga teeth. So, mao na ang ilang gitawag nga atavistic traits or stigmata. Then we have biosocial theory. So this theory holds that both thought and behavior have biological and social basis. So naa ako na yung basis nga biological and social ang ato ang mga behaviors nga gipanghimo. So biosocial theorists believe that it is the interaction between predisposition. So kung maingon tag it is the interaction between predisposition environment that produces criminality. So children born into disadvantaged environments often do not have the social and familial support they need to overcome their handicaps. So because of kakuyangan, because of poverty, because they are born um, experiencing poverty, and because that is their environment, that's why nakakomit ni nga mga bata ng crimes. Probably mangawat sila, manglungkab sila. So any crimes that are rooted from deficiency economically. So that is biosocial theory. And then we have our contemporary biosocial theories. So, number one, we have biochemical factors. So, these stress the relationship between antisocial behavior and biochemical makeup, and that body chemistry can govern behavior and personality, including levels of aggression and depression. So, natay gipang take sa atohang mga lawas or mga pagkaon or mga drugs wherein mo makakos sa ato uh, to have these levels of aggression o di kaya depression. Manang natin mga stimulants, mga hallucinogens, and also mga tranquilizers. So those kinds of drugs could affect our well-being and also affect our behavior. Then we have our hormonal levels. So research also suggests that increased levels of male androgen testosterone are responsible for excessive levels of violence among teenage boys. Kung excessive kuno ang imuhang androgen testosterone, it means you have the tendency para sa mga boys to become aggressive. And also sa mga babae, di ba napatay problema with our hormonal levels, especially kung hapit na ta dugon or gipang dugo ta or we are having our menstrual cycle. So, our hormones could change depende sa atong lawas. So, because our hormones change, our mood also changes. So, it may affect also our behaviors. We also have our neurological dysfunction. So studies measured indicators of system functioning such as brain waves, heart rate, arousal levels, skin conductance, and attention span, cognitive ability, and spatial learning, and then compared them to measures of antisocial behavior. So for example, ng mga dysfunctions, kanang atong gipangtawag nga mga ADHD, impulsivity, compulsivity, or compulsiveness. So those are neurological dysfunctions, anxiety, phobias, maniacs. So those are neurological dysfunctions that might cause us into um, committing crimes. Then, imbalances in the central nervous system's chemical and hormonal activity have been linked to antisocial behavior and drug abuse. So also, kung maapektuhan ang ato ang mga central nervous system because of the drugs we take, magkakaroon punta ng neurological dysfunction. So some of our neurons ano sana, will distort its normal function for us it will cause us into behaving different than we are used to, and that than we are normally behaving. So next is neurotransmitters are chemical compounds that influence brain activity. So research suggests that abnormal levels of some neurotransmitters, including dopamine, serotonin, and monoamine oxidase are related to aggression and violence. So sometimes mutaas ang atong hyperactivity, mutaas ang atong pagka-hyper or munaog depende ra sa kani nga mga hormones nga naata or mga neurotransmitters nga naata, and it will affect our way of behaving. Then we also have under uh neurological dysfunction, we have minimal brain dysfunction. So the damage to the brain itself that causes antisocial behavior that is harmful to individuals, lifestyle, and social adjustments. So children who manifest behavior disturbances may have identifiable neurological deficits such as damage to the hemispheres of the brain. So sometimes uh, anong atong damage sa atong brain probably because of our traumas, probably of physical defects of our brain, mao nay maka-cause ng ato ang mga uh, antisocial behaviors or criminal behaviors. And then we have genetic influences. So these focus on the idea that individuals who share genes are alike in personality regardless of how they are reared, whereas the rearing environment induces little or no personality resemblance. So ang genetic influences ang ato kuno ang criminal behavior are genetically um uh, passed down to us by our ancestors or by our parents or our lineage for us to commit these criminal behaviors. So it doesn't matter kung unsa nga environment that we are in, as long as these behaviors are biological or genetic, kung naa ni ang mama, possible nga naa po ni sa anak or sa iyahang mga apo. So, atong genetic influences in the contemporary biosocial theories. So, since we are talking about the biopsychosocial factors influencing the crimes, uh, napod tayo psychological theories. So these theories assume that delinquency is a result of internal underlying disturbances. So these disturbances develop during childhood and tend to become permanent features of the individual's character. So since the individual has problems, he or she must be the focus of attention if the problem is to be solved. So na mga mental illness or disturbances that will cause the child in behaving criminally. So, for example na sa diha, psychologically, if the child, labi na ng mga um, pa naa pa sa stage of adolescence, they are more likely to have schizophrenia. So, depende raman sad na case to case basis if that is genetic or uh, developed over time. So, usually, nag-start man ng schizophrenia sa teenager pa ang bata. So, those are also examples of psychological factors. So, kung mag-hallucinate ang bata, then he will have the tendency to commit crimes. So next is psychodynamic or psychoanalytic theory. I know that you are familiar with Sigmund Freud, so mani ang iyahang theory. So he argued that crimes are caused by abnormal personalities developed early in life. So this theory believed that personality is composed of the three major components, namely the id, the ego, and the superego. Furthermore, this theory posits that long-term psychological difficulties can result from an imbalance in personality traits caused by early childhood trauma. So nadatay tulo ka major components in our personality. We have our id, the ego, and our super ego. So mao ni sila ang mag-govern sa atong mga choices in life. So kung may tag id, we are behaving based on our instincts. Kung mayroon tag ego, we are behaving based on the reality. And kung mayroon tag super ego, we are behaving based on our morality. So next is the four elements of Freud's theory. So mao ni iyahang four elements nga gi-create ra sad ni Freud's theory according to his psychoanalytic theory. So human nature is inherently antisocial. So every child possesses a set of primitive antisocial instincts called id. So kita ko ng tanan na ako no tayo inherently in our subconscious mind we have our antisocial personalities. So naanakuno na siya ever since we are children and naakuno ta ana tanan. So those instinct is what we call as the id. So good behavior comes through effective socialization. Through socialization, the child learns internal control. So, ang good behavior depende na siya as to the socialization of the bata. Kung ang bata ba is ang iyahang ka-interact are good people, are displaying good behavior, then the child will also project good behavior. So through socialization, ang bata maka-learn siya ng internal control. Kung unsa ra may sakto and unsa may dili, kung unsa may iyahang buhaton and kung unsa may iyahang dili buhaton. So the lifelong features of a human personality originate in early childhood. So by age 5, all the essential features of the child's adult personality have been developed. So by the age of 5 ang mga adult personality of the child will eventually emerge. And uh, kaning mga characteristics or features will even be developed pagtungtong ng bata or pag-develop na also pag-experience ng bata sa different or stages of development of a human being. So next is the delinquent behavior is the result of a defective superego. So kung ang superego ng bata doesn't know how to distinguish the right or wrong or the morality or so kung unsa may saktuan dili is because gitudluan siya kung or wayay nagtudlo sa ija nang unsa may saktuan dili, then the delinquent behavior of the child will emerge. So next is the behavioral theory. So this theory states that personality is learned throughout life during interaction with others. So further suggesting that individuals learn by observing how other people react to their behavior. So diri sa behavioral theory natay ginatawag nga reward and reinforcement. So kung ang bata maghimo ng good behavior, dapat na mag-reward sa ija para he will continue to do good things. And kung maghimo man siya bad things, dapat na ay mag-reinforce sa iya, na ay asa na, mga saba sa ija, maghatag sa ija ng guidance as to sa may dapat nga buhaton para dili na siya mag-commit again ng asa na, bad behavior or bad things. So, according to B.F. Skinner, environment shapes behavior. So children learned which aspects of their environment were pleasing and which were painful. So children will repeat rewarded behavior and abort punished behavior. So katong mga ang bata maka-learn ni siya sa iyahang mga behaviors. Kung ang bata permi maka-receive ng reward, then kadtong mga behavior nga iyang gihimo wherein gihawatagan sa reward, ija na tong permente himuon. Sa kadtong mga behavior wherein permente siya ginahatagan og punishment, then dili na to ni himuon or ija na tong ipang-avoid nga mga behavior. Also, we have Albert Bandura. So he developed the theory of aggression. So in which he stated that children learn by modeling and imitating others. So gisundog ra kuno ng bata ang aggression sa iyahang nakita sa iyahang isig katawo. So children learn to be aggressive from their experiences. So kung ang iyahang household is very aggressive, probably ang child will also develop or will also be influenced by those aggressiveness. So, delinquent behavior is learned from direct, face-to-face interaction or by observing others in person or symbolically in literature, films, televisions, and music. So our next theory under the cognitive theory is our next theory under the psychological theory is the cognitive theory. So according to John Piaget, the founder of this approach hypothesized the reasoning process of a human being in an orderly manner from birth to 12 and older. So in this stage, the sensory motor stage, children respond to their environment by seeking out interesting objects and developing their reflexes. By the fourth and final stage, the formal operation stage, they have developed into mature adults who can use logic and abstract thought. So, ang cognitive theory ni Piaget, he suggested nga ang mga bata kuno, it doesn't mean that they are kids, they know less. It's just that gina-perceive nila ang things or ang mga situation in their own logical lens. So kita nga mga adults natay own logical lens and ang mga bata sad kuno napud kuno sila own logical lens. So nandi sila different logics or interpretation of things other than the adults. Because kita, mga adults, naman tayong mga experience sa mga butang, mao ni ang atong pagsabot sa certain things. However, ang mga bata, considering na wala pa sila experiences, they will perceive things in their own logical sense. So that is um, uh, probably maingon ta nga lesser in logic ang ilahang probably they are lesser in logic or lesser in rationality. It's because mao man lagi na ilang na experience, gamay raman ang ilahang na experience in life. So Lawrence Kohlberg applied the concept of Piaget to issues of delinquency, where he argued that there are stages of moral development which are the basis of moral decision making. So he reviewed those serious offenders as having a different moral orientation from those law-abiding citizens. So, he said nga, ang kaning mga serious offenders nato, probably they don't know about what is really what is really legal or illegal. And kaning atong mga law-abiding citizens, probably napod sila different interpretation of what is legal and illegal. So, probably, ang atong mga serious offenders, they are deficient or dili enough ang ilahang pag-comprehend and understand as to the morality of the world or the morality of a certain uh, the morality of the world. So next is the five-factor model of personality. So kaniya sila under the asa na? Psychological theory ra gihapon ni siya. So it is by Annabel G. Y. Lim. So the five big personality traits, also known as the ocean or Kano, are a psychological model that describes five broad dimensions of personality. So natay openness, conscientiousness, extroversion, agreeableness, and neuroticism. So in the ocean personality traits, natay ginatawag nga openness to experience. So these traits reflects a person's level of imagination, curiosity, intellectual depth, and preference for variety. So individuals scoring high enjoy novelty, abstract thinking, and art, while those scoring low prefer routine, tradition, and practicality. We also have our conscientiousness. So this dimension measures a person's tendency towards self-discipline, organization, carefulness, and directed behavior. So a high score suggests that a hardworking and reliable individual, whereas a low score points to someone who is more spontaneous, flexible, and perhaps prone to procrastination. We also have our extroversion. So this trait indicates how social, talkative, energetic, and assertive a person is, encompassing their level of engagement with the outside world. So highly extroverted people are energized by social interaction and crowds, while those scoring low or introverts prefer solitude and reflection. Dapat ay agreeableness. So this dimension gauges an individual's orientation towards compassion, cooperativeness, kindness, and trustworthiness in social interactions. So high agreeableness is linked to being empathetic and helpful, while low agreeableness is associated with being more competitive, skeptical, and focused on self-interest. We also have neuroticism, which states that this trait measures a person's tendency to experience negative emotions such as anxiety, stress, worry, and emotional instability. So a high score indicated high emotional reactivity and mood swings, while a low score suggests a calm, secure, and resilient temperament. So kaning atong big five personality traits, this is actually an examination into asa na measuring your personality based on the ocean. So kung naa kay high nga score, aning openness or low score sa openness, or kung naa kay high score sa conscientiousness or low score, magdepende ang imong personality upon the scores that you will get in the um upon uh upon how you answer. So magdepende ang imong personality upon the score that you have based on the ocean model of personality examination. So for example, kaning iyahang gibutang diri nga kani sa man po. So for example, in neuroticism, mao ni ang atong mga high scores. So kung ing-ana ang imong high score kada personality, it means you have these kinds of traits or characteristics. So if you have low scores in these personalities, you also have these kinds of characteristics. So diri ta magbase kung unsa man ang behavior ng isa ka tawo. Nganong ing-ani man ang iyang gihimo, nganong perception about things is ingani man. So it is based on the examination of the ocean personality. So that is neuroticism, extroversion, openness, agreeableness, and conscientiousness. So as of now, dito ra sa tataman sa ato ang discussion. So naa na ta sa sociological view of delinquency. So I hope you have learned um, from that video. So I hope you have learned from that discussion.